Hey guys, Work here, welcome back to the bench. So today we're going to do kind of a half review, half modification video. I'm going to do the review first. When I get done with the review, you'll kind of see why I'm doing the modification video. So today the thing that we're going over is holsters. Now these are custom Kydex holsters that I've gotten, one for my PO1 and one for my Glock 19. Now you know me, I'm always out to find a good deal. So typically when I'm looking for holsters, I peruse Amazon and Etsy, and in each one of those there are usually small businesses that are selling custom made holsters. Some of them are good, some of them are bad. This particular one is one that I just can't make up my mind on. The company is called Okay guys, so here's the deal. I've been thinking about this a lot lately, and I've decided that I'm not going to say the brand name of the holster maker for these guns. And there's a couple of different reasons for that. The first reason is, I'm just some dude on YouTube. I am not in the business of making or breaking other people's businesses. It's a small veteran-owned company, and I don't want to ruin it. That's not my place. And the last reason that I really don't feel like I can drag their name through mud is because these guys are trying so hard. This particular manufacturer sells stuff through their website and through Amazon. And for the most part, I'll let the reviews on each one of those speak for themselves. Now, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. These holsters are, at best, meh, but the guys who make them are top-notch. They try their best, and from what I can see, they're getting better. Now what I'm going to do is, instead of outright saying the name of the company that sold these, what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to put their name in the search tags for this video. So if you searched a specific holster maker and my video showed up, then I'm probably talking about the one that you're looking at. So that's it for our little sideline. Now back to the rest of the video. Unfortunately, the stuff that I've gotten from them has been like 75% every time, and I can't really complain. And here's why. Because these holsters are like $39. You can't get $39 holsters anywhere. Unfortunately, what you're getting is about a $39 holster. So I'll start off with my PO1 and kind of go over the two things that I noticed on this. One of them was a really big deal. The other one, not so much. And then I'll go over my Glock 19 holster, the issues that I'm having with it, and what I'm going to end up having to do to this thing to get it functioning even a little bit better. So first, the PO1 holster. So the PO1 holster fits the gun wonderfully. As I'm inserting, you can hear that positive retention, and it fits really nice. The interior of the Kydex is extremely smooth, so it doesn't feel like it's grabbing at all. It just goes in and snaps. I don't know what they did to get the retention on this thing that perfect, but it is spot on. Now the problem. You can see up here the crease for where the top of the firearm itself is, and then you can see the sight channel that they used. So if you've seen my Instagram, you probably saw this. This was easily a couple of months ago. But when I got this thing, for some reason they didn't end up folding this thing right, and this sight channel is gigantic. This is just a PO1. The sights are only like 1/4 of an inch high. I don't need a 1/2 inch of sight channel up here, let alone the 3/4 of an inch of sight channel that I got at the end of here. Now not only that, but that sharp point that it was making was digging into my leg. That thing was so uncomfortable. I got a hold of them and they were really quick to respond. They offered to let me send it back, they would fix it and send it back to me, but I hate doing that. I hate dealing with that hassle. So instead I went ahead and fixed it myself. I just took a saw and cleaned off this corner, and this turned into one of the most comfortable holsters I have ever had for a firearm, with just that slight modification. Now the one other thing that I did have to modify is I had to work the holster down around my sights. But there's no way that they could have foreseen that I was going to put these TFX Pros on here. And TFX Pros are big sights. They go way forward to the sight channel, and there's no way they would have known that was happening. So with this one, it was like 75% of the way there. If they had pulled this sight channel tighter a little bit and beveled this edge a little bit, it would have been perfect. So giving them the benefit of the doubt, I went ahead and ordered a second one for my 19. Now let's get into that one. I went with a gray carbon fiber on this thing. I like to get a little bit different of my holsters on each one that I get, just to be able to tell them apart a little bit easier. So the very first thing that I noticed was the retention in this one is not nearly as nice as the retention in the other one. This is actually after I fixed the retention on this. Now they are adjustable retention, but no matter how much I cranked on this thing, I couldn't get it to click in place, which is what I'm looking for in a Kydex holster, is a slight positive retention. So I ended up having to heat this thing up, get my clamps down here, and clamp around the trigger guard a little bit to tighten that up, and it's still not perfect. Now, I did give them specific instructions with this thing because of the problems that I had with the other one, telling them to keep this sight channel down and around this corner, and they did a really good job with that. Around the other side, I did have to slightly modify it around my magazine release, but I have an extended magazine release, so I'm not going to fault them for that either. That's just one of the things that you've got to do when you start customizing your guns. Now for the big problem with this particular one, and that is the clip placement. I got the same tack clip, but this thing was so low in its original spot, about a 1/2 inch lower than it was right here, that the entire grip and part of the trigger guard was sitting above belt level. Now they are adjustable, so I dropped it down a little bit, but it's still sitting relatively high. I really wish that they had lifted this area up about a half an inch, so that the original spot the clip was in was about where it was now, and you had the option to drop it even lower, making it more concealable. Honestly, in the original spot this clip was in, every time I wore it, I felt like the gun was going to cantilever out of my pants, and that is not the position that you want to be in when you're carrying a firearm, either feeling like or it actually doing that. So I moved it down, and that helped a little bit. Now the only other thing that I can really do to help out is cant it. Now these clips are cantable. They have an adjustable cant here, and you can see that it's got these two screws here to be able to cant it, which is great. I love cantable holsters. The problem is that I can't get to the other side of these screws to tighten them down enough to lock that cant. So this thing is constantly shifting around in my belt, and that's what we're going to fix today. We're actually going to pull these screws out, we're going to drill over to the other side, we're going to make 2 holes so that we can get a screwdriver down in there to be able to tighten these up all the way. So let's go ahead and get started by pulling the gun out. We'll sit it to the side and get started on this. First things first, we got to get the screws out. Let's loosen the whole thing up a little bit so that I can get my fingers in here. And here we can kind of see the problem. I can't even get in there to get these things loosened up. So let's keep going. We're just going to have to yank this whole dang thing apart to get something in there enough to loosen these things up. Nope. Haha, one down. Let's see if I can get this other one. You can see why this is a problem. There we go. Okay. Whew. Jeez. So now that we've got all those pieces out, what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to take a drill, and I'm going to drill straight down through these to mark my holes for the other side, and then I'm going to come back in with a drill on the other side to widen the hole a little bit. Alright. So we're not going to take a whole lot of time doing this. This is not an exact science at all. There's one. There's 2. And they look equally off to where these holes are. And there's 3. Now, let's go ahead and hog these things out. Okay, and with that, hopefully I'll have enough space to get a screwdriver down in there, get everything tightened. Okay, so let's go ahead and put this back together. So that goes there. Rubber stopper in between. Top. Washer. Screw. Tighten that one down, then we'll do the next one. Alright, it's already slipping in my finger there. Washer, screw, tighten that guy down. Now let's see if I can find something to get back here. Okay, so we're getting this out one more time to help this out just a little bit. Now the reason that we did that was now I can get an actual bit down in there. Because now I can just grab this, toss that through there. Now I don't have to fiddle with a tiny little screwdriver anymore. And with that, that is now tight. Now see, this is the kind of stuff that frustrates me about this. Like, I don't feel like I should have to be making modifications like this to a holster. Like, when you buy a holster, the holster maker should worry about that. Like, if you're getting one with this kind of clip, shouldn't they be the ones to think about little things like that? Like, how do I get in there to actually tighten that down? But as often is the case, it's left up to us, the consumer, to deal with it. So let's go ahead and toss this back in here. Try to get that retention dialed back in. Had to have this thing super tight. That's a little bit better. And that'll do it for now. It looks goofy because now I've got holes in my holster, but really, in the end, nobody's going to see this thing anyway. So the looks don't really matter. The things that matter are comfort, concealability, and overall usability. And these guys get it so close every time. I love this clip. I love the design of the holster. I love the materials that they use. The Kydex is just the right thickness of Kydex. It's not overly thick. It's not overly thin, so the Kydex still holds its shape. But it's just so close. But there are just so many little things that I feel like I have to tweak every time I get one that, unfortunately, the next time I get a holster, I'm just going to shell out the big bucks. I'm not going to be able to go to the little guys. I'm going to end up having to pay for a real holster. So that's it for this time, guys. I don't mean to bash these guys. If you check out their Instagram page, the work that they do looks amazing. I just haven't received the work that they show on their Instagram page. For the money, you really can't get any better of a holster. I mean, again, these things cost 40 bucks. I just don't like having to modify stuff after I buy it, which I've had to do both times. I need your help, guys. I need your opinions on what holsters I should look at. The reason that I've got to get a new one is my Glock 19's getting a light. So with that in mind, what light-bearing holster would you recommend that I look for an EDC concealed carry holster? It's got to be inside the waistband, it's got to be a taco style, and it's going to be a 3 o'clock carry. Sorry, I don't do the appendix thing. Anything else is up for grabs. Go ahead and shoot me some links to some holster companies that you think I should check out, and until next time, do your research, get informed, and get to work. after contacting them about this one again, you know what they did? They sent me a replacement. So originally we were talking about just sending me this clip. Instead of just sending me the clip, they sent me an entire holster. Problem is, this holster itself isn't any better than the one that I had before.